I know that every real estate agent can get and maintain 10 residential listings. I do know if they do that, they'll make money consistently in our market, okay? This is a very competitive market, all right? It's a very competitive market. A lot of realtors, a lot of good ones in our group, I mean, in our board, in our area. 10% of them do 80% of the business, 20% of them do, 20% of them do 80% of the business. So we find ourselves somewhere in there, and we have to fit. So we created a niche that yesterday brought a man and a woman in here, and we, with our investor, bought a double-wide mobile home for $15,000, plus we got to pay $6,000 in taxes and closing. We'll spend $50 on it and sell it for $140. Now, that's one thing. That these leads and the things she's going to show you today, that was one thing. Then David had another guy. David went out and knocked on his door, or Jerry did. The guy came in here. He was ready to sign his place over to us. Okay, we could give him a little money and do it, or we can list his house and help him, hopefully. But he doesn't care. He's ready to go. He's past care and he's down. He's in foreclosure. The leads all come from Faith. All right, she does this courthouse research that would drive me absolutely mad, but she does that and she sends that to me every week. All right. What I'm looking for are people that want to work the leads, not as the only resource, but as a source, a consistent source of ongoing possibilities. What I'm going to ask Faith to show you this morning is foreclosure that's just filed. You hear that? You hear the word foreclosure. Just had a circumstance, I started to tell you all about it, was just incredible. Our next door neighbors are pastors. They have their own realtors in their church, and so they got one that's listed their house, and they have another one that's helping them buy a house. But they always call me and ask me questions, which I have to delicately answer. So she called me one day, she said, do you know anything about 880? And you could put that one up, Faith. 880 Oak Ridge Road. All right, and just I remembered the house. I remembered the lead. And I said, yeah, the house is in foreclosure. She said, my realtor says it's not in foreclosure. I said, well, the house is definitely in foreclosure. So they called the selling realtor. And he told them, no, it's not in foreclosure. People are delinquent, but it's not in foreclosure. Well, the house has been in foreclosure since June. So I called Faith on the weekend. She sent me an email of the foreclosure that was filed, the actual lawsuit. The people were listed the property for $360,000. The woman died. It's their heirs. They're all fighting amongst each other. There has not been any probate on the estate. But plainly in the foreclosure it said it was $170,000 owed on the house. They had it listed for $360,000 and it's headed for foreclosure. It's going through the process. And what we want to show you today is the process and how it can work for you or against you depending on. So the point of that was that realtor is not qualified to talk to that woman about that. That realtor did her a terrible disservice, in my opinion. We don't care. I mean, it's not my business. Faith sent us a copy of the docket, and she's going to show you that today. What does that mean? That means if every lawsuit that's filed is assigned a case number, and it goes on the docket. The docket starts. It's a process, okay? So we're going to take a look at a couple of that, like that one, that's a little bit older. But the point was, listing agent, selling agent, neither one of them understood it. When you mention foreclosure to the average realtor, they think it's already the bank's got it back. That's their thought. Our thought is we want to know about it so we can track it through the process, and that's what we learned how to do. And that's what the course that we wrote was designed to do. But she's going to give you something, we call it advanced today, but
you have to keep talking because I can't find it. There it is.
Now there's been almost 500 foreclosures filed in St. Johns County this year.
Wow.
500 in St. Johns County. Guess where about a third of them are? North of State Road 16. Okay? In Ponte Vedra, all up in those areas up there. So there are copious leads. Scroll over, Faith, to your zip codes, just from. You can just read the zip codes if you can see that. It'll show you that nobody's immune to what we're talking about, and this to me brings opportunity to everybody in our business. And so this to me is a big deal. And the reason it is because it's coming anyway. Now, what happened here, if you go back to that one, Faith, and just pull it up.
Hold on.
We have the, see, the way she does it, she's got her batch numbers, which is her chronological numbering system, but it's got the banks, she's got the banks, she's got the people's name that's being sued, she's got enough information on there for us to be able to contact the people. Now, if you do that on a consistent basis, write them a letter, send them a note, knock on the door, you know, some of us will go with you, not a problem. You'll find that you're going to find people that you're trying to help them. Number one, we'll wear two hats. Hat number one is we want to help you. We can list your house. We can auction your house off. We can do whatever you want to do. If it's got equity in it, or are you open to the fact of us getting some investor to make an offer? Okay, some of them are ready to go. Some of them already moved off. Some of them the house is destroyed. Some of them it's, you know. So all you have to take all that into consideration when we look at the houses. But there's tons of them in the World Golf Village area, all out there, 32092, tons of them. So is there any shortage of it? No. In sales, what we learned over my career is that the majority of us that are in sales, the reason that people fail in sales is they don't learn how to prospect, or they don't consistently do it. And it's a consistent job, okay? It's a job that you get started, you develop a plan, and you do it. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't pick up the phone and call your dad and all your friends and your aunts and uncles and everybody and say, I want to list your property. That's, you know, that's going to happen anyway. But we're just trying to come up with some techniques to show you how to do more creative stuff in the real estate business where most people just don't understand. So, can you put that one up for me, Faith?
What do you want to see?
Well, just show the first filing, the lawsuit. They call what they call a lis pendens, which means there's a lawsuit, there's an action against the property. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a foreclosure suit. It can be a quiet title suit. It can be any number of things. That's why her research goes deeper, and she finds out what kind of lawsuit it is. And she identified that. Go to the property appraiser first, please. Our research will teach us to go to the property appraisers first. Now, you can look this up now by the owner's name or location or parcel ID number, whatever information you have. Now what we want to do is get the information about the property. What's on the property? Is it vacant? Is it land? What is it? So she's going to do it by location address. So you see she types it in there, it pops up. Now, we're going to find out. So now we know for a fact that this realtor that didn't understand this, the property is in foreclosure, and it was filed on what date, Faith? There it was, it was filed on 6/21. All right. Now here's a realtor that's giving their customer advice, and the realtor doesn't know, and the customer doesn't know how much is owed on the property. How are you going to make an offer to buy something that's in distress if you have no idea of what's owed, you see? So they went there, and the real estate agent priced the property at $360. Now, telling them it's not in foreclosure. you see the LP list pendants, means there's a lawsuit filed against that property, okay? Now, if you look back on that, you'll see quit claim, list pendants going all the way back. It's been in and out of foreclosure for a long time. So, right away, now this woman died and left it to her. She left it without a will, which means it's going to go to her closest heirs. Well, her closest heirs, we don't know who they are. That's why the probate lawyer and also important in this. But anyway, it's a lot to learn about it. We just wanted to show you today how we get started with these leads. So now go to the lawsuit if you would, Faith.
The lawsuit?
Yeah. But on the property appraisal, it'll show you what's there, buildings, whatever it is. That's the docket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll show them that in a minute. Let's see the lawsuit. So where do we go here? We're going to find out what's owed on the property, how delinquent they are, okay? We're going to find out what the mortgage is. We're going to find out when there was mortgage, what the date of the mortgage was, and we're going to find out what kind of interest rates paying, what the payments and so forth. We're going to learn a lot here. So, but look here. This is the bank that's doing the suing, but all of these other people or entities may have an interest in the property, and they're being foreclosed in the process. So if they don't defend their position, they're going to get foreclosed out, regardless. So the bank is normally in a first mortgage position, but we always have to be very careful about that, and that's why we do a lot of this research. So just look, it says all the grantees and the creditors, people of interest, and the names and so forth. So to straighten this title out, it either has to go through foreclosure and wipe all that out, or you have to probate the estate. Okay, one or the other. And so, but it can be done. Now, just going down and show them how much is owed on that lawsuit. Look at there. Now, there's $174,000 owed on the property. We have cut these, for instance, if you were representing this buyer, knowing this information could save these people $200,000. Now you see why you need to know. They went in after, even after I gave them all this information, and offered $274,000 on that house. They just left $100,000 on the table. Okay? They didn't have this information whenever they first started talking to me about it. I got the information from Faith did it that same day and sent it to me. Then, you see, they didn't know it's in foreclosure. And then, how delinquent is it? How many payments is it, Faith?
December 18.
Right, so that's how many payments it is behind, from December 2018 till now, almost a year. So, does it show how much the payments are? You're going out to talk to a property owner. If I was going out to talk to this property owners, they said we want $374,000, which is what they do in 75. I would turn around and walk away because they're not going to sell it for that, number one. Number two is they're not prepared for this. They don't understand and they don't have the information really to talk to a seller about it or anybody about it. So these people that are trying to buy it, even after that information, they offer $277,000 for it, which to me is ridiculous. I don't think it's necessary to pay that kind of money for it, number one. I think you could go a different route with it, but anyway, I don't want to complicate it today. I just want you to see how it works. We have 400 and some leads for the past year. Some of them now have gone all the way out through foreclosure and they're gone. They've gone on to somebody else. But getting this information early on and knowing how to track it and follow it and see will make you an expert in this business in a little while. And then, so you have an edge on it, regardless of who you're talking to or what real estate company you're talking to, if you're, or lister. If you were going out to list this property, you would sit down to the person and say to them, listen, $375,000 is not realistic in the condition of this house. People tell me they got to spend $100,000 on the house to do it. So, what is the bottom line that you would take if somebody just wrote you a check and said, I'll take over the mortgage, I'll pay it off, or whatever? What is that number? You see, and right away you'll get sellers to start to tell you what they'll really take, because they have a time problem, you know. So, anyway, so you're wearing one hat or the other. One hat is we can represent you, we can sell the house for you, we can list it, we can put it in MLS, we're auctioneers, we can auction it off, we can do all kinds of things for you and help you get some money out of it. If not, you can let it sit right here and let it go all the way through foreclosure. Here's what happens, guys. Over 90% of these people will never hire a realtor, never put it in MLS, and go right out, go right through the foreclosure. They just stick their head right in the hole, right in the sand. So, now she's got it up paid, and what do you see? What's the interest rate? 8.125. You see the payments?
Yeah, 853.
All right, so you got $853 in payments, and it's 12 months, let's say 12 months behind, okay? So that's $10,000 in rough numbers. So these people would pay $10,000 and pay the attorney's fees, and they could reinstate that mortgage. The mortgage would be out of foreclosure, all right? Now, what do? First thing we do when we get that, we just had one, Jerry had one yesterday, people came in here, they gave us, we have an authorization to talk to us form that they sign, and we send it to the mortgage company and authorize them to talk to us about their loan. So when we get that, then we're in a position to talk to the mortgage company about it and see how it can be reinstated and just what's the minimum. So we want to know what's the payoff and what's the reinstatement numbers, because we don't know which direction we're going. We're just sitting here getting information initially, but we're getting some activity going on this right away. Now you're telling the people, if you list it with me, here's your options. Option is to reinstate it. You can do that. Your options is to sell it. You got some equity in it. You're going to have to spend $10,000 or $15,000 on the house, whatever it is, when you go through the house and you take a look at it. So it's a get smart part of the business, and it's only get smart if you got the information, and the information is critical. So from that, we know that it's a year late, almost a year, and we know that it was $174,000 owed on it. Now, it's on 4 acres of land. It's in a great location. The property is, but the customer says it's going to cost $100,000 to fix it. Well, they don't know. They don't know. They're just guessing at that figure because they don't know. And they haven't done nothing to get a number from a builder or somebody for that to have that information. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that because Faith went to that information in a matter of a few minutes and sent that to me, and I'm at home and I'm sending it to them, and they live right next door. Okay, this information came so fast because of Faith. All right, and I want y'all to learn how to do this, and that's the purpose of this meeting today. So when she sends his list, the LP list. If you take one, and we'd gladly give them to you, you got to take some action. You have to not ignore it. You have to take some action, or the lists are not valuable to you. And we treat them like gold. Suzanne started this research thing 30 years ago, and she taught her sisters how to do it. And they went to the courthouse in Jacksonville and St. Augustine and 4 or 5 counties. They would do this the hard way. They'd sit down and go through the whole thing. Now you can do it here at your computer or on your phone in a matter of a few minutes once you learn how to do it. And so I just wanted to show you, so this case is a good example, and I go to the docket. please. Now, what the docket is the lawsuit's filed, it's assigned the case number, it creates a docket. The docket is a chronological history, just like a criminal offense or anything else, it's a docket there. And you can find out what the status of this lawsuit is.
I lost it.
I taught you how to do it.
Yeah, you did.
That's true. Faith, you know who these young ladies are? Courtney is Stephen McQuaig's daughter, and is Stanton Mills' daughter. So we have to be really nice to them. It's like joining the Menorcan Mafia. Just kidding, girls. We love having you. All right, now you see. Show us where it stands now, Faith, up at the top. We'll go from the bottom up. Start. Now, all of these things have happened in that lawsuit since it was filed. Okay? Everything that's happened is there. So it's not a matter of somebody telling you what they think. This is the real status of this lawsuit and as it stands. Now, it was filed 6/21. It was verified. It was a civil cover. You know, it goes on and on about service and whatever. Now, Faith printed that docket out from, or sent it to me, and I printed it out and gave it to them, along with a copy of the lawsuit, in a matter of 30, 40 minutes. Now, guys and girls, this is an incredible service. It's an incredible service for investors. It's an incredible service for realtors. We used to sell them to bankruptcy lawyers, leads, you know. They help people save their homes. And so that's our primary goal, is that hat we wear is our realtor hat, and we are serious about it. Now go back to your, now what's the top one that says? What does it say, Faith?
Order for case management.
So that's what's happening. The courts are very careful about it if there's errors involved. And so they order case management, which whatever it means, they're going to sit down and discuss the case. Well, we know that we could reinstate that this afternoon. But you don't want to reinstate it until you find out if it's been probated, because there are heirs there that are may or may not have a claim to an interest in the property. We don't know who they are. But back up to the initial lawsuit when it's first filed, everybody that's named in there, their interest is going to get foreclosed out of there if they don't take some action. All right. So all I'm telling you is that we can provide you with a steady source of these folks. What we do, what we recommend you do, is a number of things. One is send them a letter, do a personal letter from yourself. All right. Knock on the doors is the best way. Take a ride by the house and see if the weeds have grown up that high. Find out if the people are still living there or not. The neighbors always know how to find them. All right. If you go to the neighbors, knock on their doors, you can get to them. So, and Facebook, you can find them all on Facebook. And so, there's all kinds of resources. The biggest job is finding them. All right. And once you can find them, and we can communicate with them, we can help them in most cases. And so, just pick another one, Faith. Off your list, members. All right. Which one would y'all like to see us look at?
You want recent or old?
Well, let's do the recent ones now.
Terry, pull up Shane Carter.
Yeah, okay, that's a good one. Can you find out what Faith, you got an address, Jerry?
4660 Cedar Ford Drive.
If you're gonna buy houses, if you're gonna buy a house, why would you pay retail for a house if you know that, if you had this kind of information? I hear realtors, I hear realtors all the time, oh, that's a good deal. I had one send me something yesterday, that's a good deal. I said, why don't you buy it? It's such a damn good deal, why don't you buy it, okay? And the response is, I don't have any money. I said, well, that's not the worst thing, but that's a good reason. But the real reason is, I don't know how, okay? Just so you all understand this, we do this with investors that we buy. We teach that you can buy 10 houses, pay for them in 10 years, and retire with $10,000 a month income, and you can get started with that with little or none of your own money, right? And you can. We have probably 20-some properties that we're doing right now that we have investors that put up the money to do it. But they trust our judgment because we do this research. But we made plenty of mistakes, so don't. Believe me, oh my God. You can see on your property appraisers, the LP is filed, but all about it, go back up to Faith. All right, it'll tell you what kind of construction it is and so forth, and how many square feet in the building, and you can get a real idea from here what you're talking about before you go. So we want you to print this out first. Print out the property appraiser sheet every time before you list any property, before you go there. You can find out, not in all cases, but in most cases, if it says LP, that means there is a list pending, there's a lawsuit filed against that property, and most sellers will not tell you that, okay? So when you go out to talk to them, if you got this information, you're armed with it, you know exactly what you're talking about. In many cases, you know more about it than they do, okay? They just stick their head in the hole and they don't know. They get these papers, like the guy had yesterday, most of them throw them in the trash, you know? And so, you're not talking about just dumb people, you're talking about rich people, you're talking about all kind of people. There's one recently filed down in Flagler County, it was a big farmer. So, it's here. All right? Now, you gotta remember, at this point, you haven't gone out, you haven't spent any money, you haven't done anything physically to do it. You're getting prepared for it. You're gonna contact the people and see what they wanna do. Most of them will, I won't say most, a lot of them will get their property reinstated. They'll come up with the money from somewhere and get it reinstated. And we're all for that. We're not mercenaries, we want them to save their homes if they can. This is just a resource that is not taught in our industry, which is unfortunate. And it's really unfortunate because now when you get through looking at this and you go physically look at the real estate, you know all about it. You know all about that property. You know enough about it to make decisions, you know, whether it's a listing that you want or how much for and so forth. So this is a start. So Faith and her research, and she knows how to look at the lawsuit, how to, in intricate detail, to come up with a game plan. What is a game plan? What are we going to do with this? You know, this one, the one that we were looking at a few minutes ago. This one today, we could reinstate the mortgage. In another week, the guy will sell it. We can list it for sale today, and that might be what we do. The guy's depending on us to give him some guidance. He doesn't care. He wants some money, and he was leaving. He wants to move to Jacksonville. God darn, he had a little 8 or 9 year old son in there with him yesterday and was talking about foreclosure. And it just made me sick to the stomach, you know, to think about it. So, anyway, the guy is going to lose his home, but he's got time to sell it. Okay. Now, we're not going there, but we do tax deed sales. We learn the laws. We understand how it works. We know how to teach it. We know how to help it. We know how to do it. And so David yesterday got us a property. The one I was telling you about in Flagler Estates. It's a big double wide on an 1.25 acre lot. It's shambles. And it's going to cost, our guy went out and said it's gonna cost $50,000 to fix it. Well, you think, well, maybe you ought to get a new one, but you can't get a new one for that and move it on there, you know, so. Depends on what you pay for it. So you can add that to your costs, and then you come up with what is it worth on the retail market, and we know that market well. And so we can put a price on it that it will sell. And the guy that does the work on them does the best job. He just does a great job. He just takes them right down to the bare bones. So it's a different way. But pick out one here. Oh, you got Jerry's? What did we find out?
What do you wanna see?
Jerry's. On
Well, in my database, it was number 140 filed in February of 19.
145. Can you go back to it?
Well, what do you wanna see?
I want to see how much is owed on it when it's filed. We're not going to depend on the guy to tell us. We're going to look here. This is. We know this is straight stuff. You hear people talk about flipping houses, and we do a lot of it. Okay, when they think flipping houses, they think get a contract, no intentions of buying it, flip the contract. So they're really not selling the house, they're selling the contract to somebody else that will buy the house. But, so anybody can get in this business, and you can go out today, and I challenge everybody in this room to go out today and ride around and find every vacant house you can, write the address down, okay? Email that to me, or come in the office here, and I'll go through that with you, and let's see exactly what you found. We can find out. So every realtor can learn how to go out and prospect with this. The best ones are the vacant houses. That means something's wrong. Something's going on if the house is sitting there vacant and the weeds growing up there that high, you see. And so, can you find the foreclosure suit?
You do know it's set for sale.
Huh?
It's set for sale, you know.
Foreclosure sale? Look at that docket. Look how long that guy stuck his head in the sand. Do you see what I'm talking about? This guy let that house go right on through the foreclosure and not ever list it for sale, even if he had equity in it. No. So it's not a good time for these people, and we have to be kind and help them if we can. Now, Vic just said it's up for sale. It means it's been through the foreclosure process, and it goes through the summary final judgment, and the judge sets a sale date. When is the sale date, Vic? This is why I never learned anything like this.
They switched to mortgage company too. They switched to mortgage company too.
Well, that doesn't stop it going on to foreclosure sale. Summary final judgment is the day. That's the day. Go to that page. Right here, number 70. The final judgment, this means it's gone through the process and the judge is tired of messing with it. They apply for a summary final judgment, which means the judge is going to set the amount that's owed, including the attorney's fees and all, and set a date for the sale. What does it say?
85,
85?
85401, and
Now, if you did a quick CMA on that to determine what it's worth, then you're looking for equity. Is there any equity in the house? Is it the equity going back to the bank, or is there any equity? Is the house a wreck? What is the condition of the house? You know, he didn't have time to listen. When's the sale date, please?
November 14th.
When?
I think it's November 14th.
It's close by. He didn't have any time. So we are doing him a favor today. We're going to get the figures from his bank about what's owed. Reinstatement figures. FHA and Fannie Mae, pretty much they have to reinstate the mortgage if he comes up with the money. Private lenders do not. generally have that option. So, so this has been delinquent about a year. Since the first of the year,
I
10
think it
months?
said August.
Huh?
I think it said August.
When was it filed? What we found out with this, the laws are the same in the state of Florida. Faith can do this in any county and generate these leads in any county. Okay? We know that there are tens of thousands of delinquent tax certificates out there on properties. Tens of thousands, all right? We also know that if you buy a tax certificate on a property and you don't do anything about it for 7 years, and the people don't pay it off, you're gonna lose your money, all right? It's gonna drop off on the end of the 7th year. So what does that mean? That's a tax deed thing, it's a different thing, but the fact is, it's all about distressed properties. There is no end to the lead that Faith can generate with that computer in a matter of a day or two. No end to it, okay? Now think about that. I'm a realtor, I need listings. I need listings, okay? Or I'm an investor, I need to buy something. Come on, guys and girls, learn this, learn how to do this. This is valuable information. So, we're going through a process, is the point. These poor people are going through a process. She's going to pick that up within a week from the time it's filed. I will have it emailed to me within a week. They got plenty of time from that point. They have like 20 days to file an answer or a response to that lawsuit. We are not lawyers. We don't give them any kind of legal advice. We recommend that they hire a lawyer. Right? We recommend that to them. Most of them can't or won't. Excuse me. Real estate advice is extremely beneficial to them. You become a friend of theirs. And when they know they can rely on you, then sometimes they'll open up, other times they won't. But what are we looking for? We're looking for 10 listings. Just 10, the first 10 in this business will secure the business for you. All right? Yeah.
Okay, are we gonna have Faith go through the process of how she finds all this information on the clerk side?
Well, we can. Main thing I want y'all to know is what to do with it. She generated the leads. I mean, the leads are here. We have them. She sent them to me. I got them. And all I'm saying is, what are we going to do with them? Instead of spending time researching, trying to duplicate what she does, she'll show you that. But the point is, we can all get this done right now. And we have the leads and we have the knowledge and the skills to do it. So, what I'm questioning now is who is ready to do this and do it expeditiously. That is the question. Y'all are good. So, to my little friends here, y'all, what do you think of this additional type of training in addition to learning how to list and sell real estate? And this is, to me, is the best. This is a resource directed to somebody that has to do something. That's the good part about this now. They have to do something. If they don't do anything, it's going to end up on the foreclosure sale. All right. And so, but you can track it from the day it's done all the way through. So just because you send somebody a letter and they didn't respond, don't mean they're not. That's the end of that. This is a process, and an extensive, lengthy process. This is we have this course. It's a 40-hour training course that we did, and this using the same information about how to do this. So I went to another state one time. I headed straight to the courthouse. I went to South Carolina, went to the courthouse. It's very similar to this. And we found properties right away that we could buy or list. You know, of course, we didn't have a license there, so we were looking for things to buy. Picked up the newspaper in South Carolina and found acres and acres for sale for taxes. You know, so I'm just saying it's everywhere. And so once you learn how to deal with it, you learn how to use it. So anyway, let's go back to to your lead sheet. Jerry, when is that one set for sale?
November the 14th.
November the 14th. He's got a very short fuse, okay? He did not talk to a realtor until, that I know of, until yesterday. He's been months and months and months sitting there, then really not knowing what to do. Now he is not in the driver's seat. He's in a bad position, all right? Truth about it is, if the house is livable, which I doubt, but if it's livable, and I hope I'm wrong, even at that price, it's a decent buy. Because the house that big, they're selling for 140, 150,000. And if you gotta go in there and spend 30, 40 on it, it's not a buy, it's not a deal. It's a flip. You can get a contract done this afternoon and go find a buyer and sell it, you can do it. So that's a doable thing. But we're gonna see what we can do to help the guy. First of all, we're getting the information from his bank about reinstatement, and we'll go from there. So that guy's in bad shape. But had he responded early on, we'd had plenty of time to put it on the market and sell it for him, you know? We could have retailed it for him 3 months ago or 6 months ago. But, you know, as a realtor, you're not gonna go out and take a listing, it's only got 30 days on it, and unless it's in pristine shape. So, that's not one I would recommend unless it's in good condition. Go ahead, Vic. Just go back to your lead sheet. You get commercial deals as well, acreage? I mean,
Terry, let me tell just a little story, okay?
yeah, oh Lord, yeah.
Me and a friend of mine was found one that was being foreclosed on in Flagler County. And we went by there a dozen times. I mean, she had it fenced and it was 2-story and it was, you know, pretty run down. And she had goats and mules and horses, and everything in the yard. And so we went by there a dozen times, and she, bless her heart, she was an older lady, and she worked at a motel where she was a cleanup person. So one day, we stopped back by there, and we met her at her gate, because we were going over there with all the mules and stuff. And I said, "Are you ready to sell yet?" She said, "I don't know, I'm gonna have to ask my dog." So her dog was right down here by her. So I leaned over and I said, "I heard the dog say yes. You ready to sell?" She said, "Okay, it's yours." We bought it, we sold it.
That's a true story. It sounds like one of David's tales, but. Now here's somebody that we may all know. I don't know her personally, Stacy Stratton. I think it has a house in the Shore. I don't know whether it's gone to sale yet or not. We're gonna find out. These are red hot areas. St. Augustine Shores would be a red hot area. If you get a foreclosure lead, you ought to go that day out, knock on the door, okay? And leave it. Now, one thing that we get here, that we use is door hangers. Jerry, you got one of yours? What are you doing? David, have you got one?
No, I don't think so.
Sorry, boys.
Not that I know of in my head.
Anyway, a door hanger, you put it right on the door.
They're not using them.
Yeah, no, they're not, yeah. Jerry had a nice one looking. All right, here's a whole case about this thing. Where does it stand now, Rich? They were going to the lawsuit, Stacy Stratton, and she, what does the document say? Going between the property appraiser and the clerk of the court. The clerk of the court is where the docket is. The property appraiser is where the information, tax-based information is.
Once the list pendants is filed,
Yeah.
and say you found a buyer and you get the house under contract, can the bank still stop that sale if the list pendant has been filed?
The bank, if they want to stop it,
They could.
they're in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but look at this one, now it's already gone. That house in the Shores, I tried to find her, and I called people that knew her, and I could not get her to call me back.
Which one's yours?
All right, here's one of Jerry's, all right? And I could not get the woman to call me back, and she lost her house, it's gone. Can you see how much it sold for, Faith?
No, I have to open
Okay.
up the,
Here's what happens, guys. See, show,
but just stop right there.
okay?
This is what I'm trying to get everybody to pay attention to too, because of the discrepancies. The last thing that's on the property appraiser is the LP. It is now October, and it went to sale in August. And nothing's been recorded on the property appraiser since. So you have to do the deeper research to verify status.
What
Right.
she's saying is that when at the sale, once it goes to foreclosure, the clerk of the court issues the deed, okay? So now I own the property, but I got foreclosed out, so I don't own it anymore. Now who owns it? The deed is gonna have to come from the clerk of the court, and that's what happens. So they get, at the sale, on the day of the sale, they issue a certificate of sale, okay? 10 days, somebody could object to the sale, and within 10 days. At the end of 10 days, they issue a certificate of title, which means you actually get a deed to the property from the clerk of the court. So that's why this process is so important. It doesn't matter what you do with it, with the information. If you know this information, in my opinion, you are a step ahead of anybody else in the real estate industry, because we can find out about almost any property. Pick any address and she can pull it right up, any address. And what I want y'all to learn today is where is she going to get this information on these cases? In other words, she sends us one. Then I pick one out. I give you all out in 32092, all right? And you go out there and knock on those doors. I want you to be able to look that information up and be able to take from that enough information to be able to talk to the person when you go there. When you walk up to a person and you get a copy of the actual lawsuit in your hand, if you want it, or you got information in your hand or in a file, and you sit down and talk to them and say, you know, I just came by to see if we could help you. We're in the real estate business for a long time. We know a lot about the foreclosure process. Been there, done that, you know, and we just came to help you. And you know, are you going to try to keep your house, or are you going to reinstate the mortgage? Do you have a plan for what you want to do? And some of them will say, oh no, not a problem. I got it taken care of. My rich aunt's going to die and leave me the money. That's what everybody thinks, you know. And I want to save my house. Well, the truth about it is that a lot of them aren't going to save the house. And so that's why getting a listing early on is important, because that clock is running. And if they don't file a response or an answer to the lawsuit, here's what happens. You get sued because you're in default. Default of what? Default of the terms of the mortgage. You're in default. You didn't pay the mortgage, or you didn't pay the taxes, something happened, but you got sued, all right? Now you got 20 days. Once they serve the lawsuit on you, they'll send a process server out to your house, knocking on your door. People dodge it, okay? If they dodge it, the actual process server, then the next step is they're going to advertise it in the paper. When they advertise it for 4 weeks, that is the same as if they had served you personally, okay? Because people will dodge them, and some people are just gone. They just fled to town. Now, if there's not a response filed within 20 days after that service, not the date it's filed, but of the date of the service, where the process server served you, that if you don't respond to that, then you have created another default. And what you're saying is, I give up. I give up. I give up my rights. It's okay, just foreclose me out. I give up my rights. That foreclosure could happen and be filed in 60 to 90 days. That's why it's so important. You're helping the people to go knock on their door. You're talking to them. You're telling them, listen, this is what's going to happen. You know, you need a lawyer. If you're going to defend this lawsuit, they'll tell you, oh no, I paid them on time and they screwed up. And sometimes that's true. This bank sells the mortgage to another bank, and we've had it happen. So there you have to be sure that you've got enough information that you can talk to them about it. So listen, in the docket, it will show when they got served, okay? It will show everything that you can think about in that docket. And so when that happens, then you become the expert. You become the expert. When you walk up and knock on their door, and they don't feel threatened by you, you know, we're not here to take your house. We're here to see if we can help you keep your house if that's what you want. Or help you have a plan. Maybe your plan is to sell it. If your plan is to sell it, hey, I'm your realtor. You know, we understand the process. You have to impress them that you know what you're talking about. Right. And if you do, and when you do, you're gonna make a big hit with them. And so, y'all see any value in this? You guys gonna work the leads? The ones that of you that are gonna work the leads, I'll have Faith assign you the leads and give you the number. And then if you're gonna work them, gonna work the leads, then each week we want responses back here about it, because this is a gold mine and we need to really use it more than we are. So it's a real opportunity for the people that want to do it. I know as we get busy, when we get busy in real estate, we put stuff on the back burner. I'm the worst. And so I just want you to see this and understand it. It's just a system. Right down the street now, you find a vacant house, put the brakes on it, get an address. Something's wrong, okay? You can sit in front of the house with your phone and go to the property appraiser sheet, and you can find out if there's an LP filed. It's not 100% proof, but if there's an LP filed under on the property appraiser where it says sales, if there's an LP filed, it'll have a date when it was filed, okay? Now you have a good idea of something's going on with that property in the course of a foreclosure. The LP, you don't know if the LP's filed, if it's a lis pendens, if it's a foreclosure suit or a quiet title suit, you don't know until you go through this to the docket. But you have enough information to know there is a problem with that property, and you're gonna know more about it than anybody else. And any other realtor that comes up there, you're gonna know more about it, okay? That is a fact. Now, some of these people are not in foreclosure. Some of the houses are paid for, but Miss Susie died, and she doesn't have any heirs. Now what do? Now you got an issue. Now the issue is to try to track down any heir they might have. If it's not a husband or wife, is it a son or a daughter? If not, the next layer is the grandchildren. If not, it's an aunt, it's an uncle, it's somebody down the pipe. There are billions of dollars sitting in clerks of the courts all over the United States of money that properties have sold for tax deeds or whatever, that they can't find anybody to give the money to. So eventually it goes to the state. So this is really an in-depth possibility, and the learning process will go on, and you know. But I want Faith to sit here and go through a few cases with you. I want y'all to ask questions, and I want to make sure that we get enough of it today that would enable us to go from here. I did my little buy 10 houses, pay for them in 10 years seminar I did. This is amazing. I asked the people in the class, people came out off Facebook, I didn't know who they were. They came in class, and I said, here's the deal. I'm gonna go through this all with you, but I'm not gonna do anything with you. I'm not gonna charge you anything, but I'm not gonna do anything with you until you send me some, go out and find leads. You've gotta do something, you know, you gotta put some skin in the game. That afternoon, I had one girl sent me 25. Okay, she ran around Middleburg and found 25. In a matter of a few days, she sent me 75. Okay? Well, then I couldn't get in touch with her, I couldn't find her, and so. But and she wasn't a realtor, these were just investors, they wanted to be investors. But the point was, unskilled, untrained, she goes out and does the work that day. Then I had two women come to one of my classes. They said, Mr. Terry, we'd love to do this, but we can't because we don't have any money. I said, well, I'm not going to charge you anything. If you go down and find some leads, and I'll come down and work, let's see what we can do. They said, you don't understand. We don't have gas money to ride around the subdivision. I said, well, you got to figure it out. It's your area and I can't, you know. So she called me one day and said, I've got 75 leads for you. I said, you do? Not for me, they're for you. You know, they're not my leads, they're your leads. She said, yes, sir. We would take, we had a pickup truck. We would take my bike and my friend's bike, and we would ride to an area in Palm Coast, and we would ride bicycles all up and down there because we didn't have the money for gas. And she said, but we found vacant houses, and on a bike, she said it was easier. We would have more time to look at them, and she said, so. And then one of them, her husband murdered somebody, so that ended all that. Unrelated, obviously. But anyway, the story is that they were determined to do that. And those women, I don't know if they ever got back to it or not, but they were determined enough to get in bicycles and ride them subdivisions and look at them. So they, are we doing, which one are we doing, Tracy?
I don't know, pick one.
All right, pick Lakeview, look, no. Go to the buyers, owners. Please,
The owners,
yeah. Or the addresses,
these are the addresses.
I can't see it. All right, so if we were going to say this afternoon that you were want to go do this, and we gave you leads in your zip code, all right? What I'm looking for is, I want to know who will do it. And, you know, it's not a requirement, but it's a terrific way to get listed. All right, now, but the way she's separated it by zip code, we can not assign anybody in somebody else's territory. If it's in one zip code, then we have to divide it up. But if you look in there at 59-32259 and 32092, tons of them. All right, up in Ponte Vedra, tons of them. So it's okay, there's one on White Tower Road, Faith. Take a look at that one. White.
This one. That one?
Is it White Tower? Yeah, yeah. Now, that just jumps out at me because that's out in Hastings, it's in a rural area. It's, you know, where the biggest demand in our business is for small acreage tracts. Hard to find. Getting expensive and hard to find. That's what I read up. Let's see what it is.
What it is.
How much land is acreage is 4.8. That's 4.8 acres on White Tower Road. Okay? Now, they bought it, no, that's historical value. Go ahead down to the, what's on it? What is on it?
Some built in 1910.
That's about the year David was born. Roland.
And Terry was 50 when I was born.
Nice counter, Dave, nice counter.
Calm down. See what they, sales information, okay. They bought that property in 6/11/2009. That's how much they paid for it, all right? That's remarkable information to have available. That means we know that the values of all that stuff has gone way, way up since 2009.
Look at it again.
Huh?
This is when the people took title to it. 1986. What are you talking about? This,
Oh,
yeah.
now you see where it's head. One DC is a death certificate, somebody died back in 2008, and then but LP was filed in 2009. Now let's see what the status of that is. Okay. Jerry, your customer's calling me. Now, that's the clerk of the court she's going to, okay? She was at the property appraiser, she's gone to clerk of the court. Now, you got there by typing in the case number? Each lawsuit is assigned a case number, which she has on there.
Oh, boy. Mm-hmm. Nobody's even opened a complaint yet. See that, I just requested it. And they're reestablishing the lost note.
These banks, when they recession, they lost the original notes. I mean, there's all kind of screw-ups in there. And some of these lawsuits were settled cheap because of that, the banks messing it up. So what's the latest on the docket, okay?
Notice of service, case management.
Okay, so the property's still there, is the point. It's still in foreclosure. I was looking to see if it was already sold, but it's still in foreclosure. And, when was that found, 2000, yeah, it's just.
It was just filed on the 3rd.
Okay, so that's one that if I was working in that rural area, I'd go right out there this afternoon and knock on that door and see, because, but before I went, I found out exactly how much is owed on it when they file that lawsuit, and that's what page is showing us all, it's how to do that. So, if you can just imagine this, if there's 500 filed in St. Johns County in the past year, how many do you think's filed in Duval County? Thousands, thousands, okay? How much opportunity do you think there is in this? How about Flagler County? How about Putnam County? It's everywhere, guys, girls, it's everywhere. And so, this is a non-competitive part of what we do, or what we know, that will lead you to many, many, many listings if you will work the system, okay? Typically, real estate agents say, oh, I sent out 100 letters and I didn't get any answers. I quit, okay? We found out from letters that you get about 1.5% response, all right? But just like the JC thing I told you 55 years ago, I did something and was there And 55 years later, somebody calls me up about it. So when you send out these alerts, my mom, she worked with us, came one day, she had a card. I mean, the old lady came into the office and said, I got a card from your mom. I guess that's who it is. She said, I found it in my mother's personal papers when she died that your mom had written her a letter. And so she came walking in the door. She didn't know anybody in town. She came walking in the door with that letter. Now, we don't want to wait 20 years like they did to get response, but I'm just saying, you don't know when you plant them. Well, you're young enough to know it. But you can go back in the property appraisals and you can find out what's on there. It'll tell you how many square feet of the building is, if it's a mobile home or not a mobile home. And it just won't tell you what condition it's in, but it'll tell you a lot of information. And so,
This is the original mortgage. It was $100,000 and it started in June of 2004. So,
2004, it's 15 years old, huh?
yeah.
Very important now that she's showing you something here. Now, this mortgage is like 15 years old. What does that tell me?
Should be paid
That-
down.
Huh?
Should be paid down.
It would be paid down, but also it would be a great property to buy subject to the mortgage. If it's a 30-year loan, it's 15 years left on it. That means that the first 15 years, they paid mostly interest. Right? Now you're getting down to when you make a payment on that mortgage, that you're creating equity every time you make a payment on that mortgage. But, so there's some real things, real benefits about these mortgages being assumable or not assumable, as the case may be. But we buy them subject to the mortgage, where we don't assume them. But we do take them over subject to the mortgage. And can the bank foreclose? It could. But have I ever seen it done? One time, you know. And so that's, but sometimes it doesn't take as much money. So if you got a $100,000 price on it or something, and you got to come up with $100,000 cash, and you don't have the money, you got to start borrowing or do something to try to get the money. But if there's a $90,000 mortgage sitting on the property, and you can take the mortgage over or buy it subject to the mortgage, and you come up with $10,000, then you're talking about a completely different deal. You're leveraging your position and what you know, okay? And that's a very important part of what we're talking about. So,
The note was not recorded with the mortgage on here, so they have to go find the note to finish it, don't they?
well, they got to have a note.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
So,
that's why they did that.
anyway, any questions about any of this so far? Well, as I said earlier, the reason most people in the sales business fail is they don't ever learn how to prospect. And when I say prospect, I'm talking about consistent prospecting, not hit and miss and hit and miss and hit and miss, which we as realtors tend to do, especially as old ones, and like Roland and David. And so, but we do this on a consistent basis. You will start to get listings. You'll plant seeds and may not grow until 6 months down the road. But remember, when you start on that case, follow it on the docket. Learn how to follow it. So you can tell what's going on in the case. And when you can tell what's going on in the case, and like the 20 days, that first letter you send out. We had a woman work here one time, and she did a real smart thing. We had joined send out cards. Okay, send out cards meant I could take a picture of you, put it on the front of that card, and type it up, and they would send it, and they fold it, and they stamp it, and they do everything, deliver it. Right? Had a 4-card series set up there, just automatically. Next letter goes out, next one goes out. And she started getting listings everywhere from that. But it was like, what is the chronology of the lawsuit? The chronology is it got filed, okay? Now, it gets sent out. If it gets served, the people have 20 days. That 20 days is so critical to this process that when you know that and you get this stuff early on so that you got time to deal with it during that 20 days, I can't even tell you how helpful that is to these people, all right? you're reminding them, you're not giving them legal advice, you're looking on the front page of their lawsuit, and it says they have 20 days to file a lawsuit, file an answer, a response. You're a professional realtor, you recommended, hey, you need a lawyer. You need a lawyer. They said, I don't have the money, I can't hire one, or I'm not going to do that. Well, I can give you good legal advice, and right there, that 20 days is critical to this lawsuit, to this process. So, that's letter number one. Letter number two is, they didn't do anything. They didn't file a response. Now, the lawyer, the representative bank can file for summary final judgment. All right? You don't want that to happen to them, if you can help it. So you tell them, file something, write something, do something in the case. Do something, all right? You gotta have some action. Write it yourself. Write out, your mother fell down, broke her leg, or whatever. Just do something. Take some action, all right? So, now you've got the chronology, you're watching it. You go to the docket, you check it, you put it on your calendar, you check it 20 days from now, you check it again 40 days from now, 60 days from now. You just keep up with it, and you can watch it. The whole lawsuit as it just travels right through the process. Incredible process, you see. And you're in a credible position because you know this and you know that. Now, we're not going to keep the meeting going all day, but I am going to ask Faith, since she drove all the way down here from Jacksonville, to spend enough time to answer any questions you have. And if y'all would like to sit here with her for a little while and go through some of this and see exactly where she's getting this information and how to respond to it, I will ask her to do that for us. And but she's mastered this, and when you master it as an agent, you'll find out it'll open a lot of doors. And the biggest door, frankly, is in the investment side of it. You're going to find all kinds of properties that are worth possibly buying. And if you don't have the money, which most of us don't, then we find partners that have the money, that we do the expert work. We have a form. Do you have that form, the deal killer form? Can you put it up there?
The which?
The deal killer form? ROI form? In the process of this case, we kept making mistakes. We'd buy a house and think we were going to make X number of dollars. By the time we got to the closing, we either didn't make much money, we didn't make any, or sometimes we'd have to take the checkbook to the closing. Well, the kids figured out that wasn't the smartest thing we knew how to do. So they built a form and put it live on the computer. This is 25 years ago that they did this. You know, that will keep you from making mistakes. And so David, he called it the deal killer form. You think you had a great deal, he'd bring a deal in here. By the time they ran it through that process, we realized you can tell exactly what to pay for a house. Okay? The only variable is the construction. And if you make a mistake there, okay. Start at the top of that face. If you were going to buy a house this afternoon, and the first thing you want to know is what is it worth on the market realistically, not the highest, not the lowest, somewhere in between, as far as the CMA goes. All right. Now that's the only money you're going to get. So everything else is a cost. That's $62,000 is what we're selling the house for. Now, if you'll notice over to the left, to purchase at a foreclosure sale, we bought that house at a foreclosure sale. We bought it for $27,000. All right, if you scroll down, right? But we itemized all of the possibilities that may cost something that we'd have to fill in this blank. And so we're just chewing it away. But we learned soon that we weren't figuring things like mowing the grass and the electric bill and the water bill and things that we just didn't think about. And so right away we were caught in our own trap many times. So, but we just scroll it on down a bit. So this is where we paid interest, where it says number 25, 6 months interest carry. We based everything on 6 month study. It was gonna be 6 months to fix it, buy it, fix it, sell it. Our investor would pay them interest, and then we'd pay them part of the profit for putting up the money. So their return on their investment in 6 months was outstanding. It was really good. And so going down. So it shows there that we made $19,600. We paid the investor 30% of the profit, so they made $5,800, plus they made the interest up at the top. And we ended up with $13,700. That was kind of our minimum deal, a $20,000 deal, $20,000 profit deal was kind of our minimum deal. So, but if you left every number off, I mean, if you put every number, scroll down.
Down?
Yeah. Or to the 27,000. All right, you see the 27,000? If you took it out of there and you put all those other numbers in, we could tell you what that number would be that you could pay for that house. If you paid more than that, you see, you hear people say, oh, I'm buying these houses at 60 cents on the dollar. Might be good, might not be so good. But by putting it in this form, you will eliminate a lot of the issues. So, I'm just showing you that to plug in your thinking about the whole thing. How is the whole thing related? If you look on the foreclosure sheet and the bank is owed 60,000 or 50,000 or 40 or whatever, and you're trying to keep your numbers work, then you know what to offer the bank. Okay? We know, that's why we can figure out how much to owe the bank, offer to the bank. Excuse me. So, any questions about it? Clear as mud. I know, me too. Me too. Y'all want to look at any more cases, or you want to take a break, or you want to quit, or are we done? I wanted you to see it because Faith developed this when they did it the hard way. They used to have to go to the courthouse and look this stuff up the hard way. My broker told me something 56 years ago, 55 years ago. He said, Terry, there's always a deal in the courthouse. There's always a deal. If you know what to look for, how to find it, there's always somebody that needs to sell something or wants to sell something. We have mastered that process. Okay, we have truly mastered it to the point where we feel very comfortable when we sit down and talk to one of our investors about it. It's not always perfect, and you got to be careful about it. We like the lower end stuff, and the reason for that is generally the profit margin is better, and your return on your investment is definitely better. Okay, so if you put up $200,000 and make 20, or if you put up $50,000 or $60,000 to make 20, and so that's why we kind of stick with the low end. But any questions, anybody? I won't put you on the spot. You can tell me privately which one of you are going to take these leads and go knock on these doors, and we'll go from there.
I can tell you about that property on White Tower. It is a house. It's falling in. It's right next to my best friend's house. So I've been to that property. I've been in the house.
Okay.
Whatever's there is just destroyed. So you're basically buying land.
Well, that's pretty good. And yeah, my brother-in-law called me up the other day and said, I had a mobile home in Middleburg. He had fixed it up. It was so nice. He lived in it for a long time. They moved to South Carolina. He said, people destroyed the house. They knocked holes in the wall, and they just destroyed it. I said, and I'm having it torn apart. I said, oh no, don't tear it apart. It's better to fix it. In most cases, oh, it's unfixable. No such thing. It's unfixable. And so it's all about the cost. So he paid $7,500 to have it torn off. Okay? They had 5 or 6 dumpsters over there in a backhoe loading the stuff up and haul it off. He just cost himself no telling how much money by doing that. Before he told me, you know, it was $33,000 for the lot. It's an acre and a half lot, you know, with the impact fee credits and all that. And he, anyway, so some of the things aren't fixable, but most of them are. It's all about the price and the cost and how much money you're going to have in it. It's all what does it cost by the time it's ready for sale? That's the cost, that's the thing. And, so, any questions about how we do it? That's all we're doing, is just providing a lead generating service for our people. You know, giving you something that, when you see a realtor say, I don't have anything to do, they may be in the wrong business, or in the wrong company. Okay? Because the fact is, there's more than we can do. Right there, she's got more than we can possibly do. If not, I'll get her to do more, you know. There are tens of thousands of delinquent tax certificates, which means the people have got an issue. Okay. I love y'all and I appreciate you being here, and I thank you, and I thank Faith for coming down from Jacksonville to do this with us, and I appreciate her showing us this. We're videotaping this, you know, so hopefully we can come back and study it, learn from the process, and so we are officially adjourned. Thanks.
We can talk out loud now. Faith,
Turn it off there.
I'm still running. You want it off?
Yeah. My brother Dave Rowan and I started this company